the greatest weekend of the year. Father's Day. Roll it, Kirk. You smell the freshness of the air this weekend. Everybody's happy. The birds are singing. I mean, listen, the sky is wonderful. Even gumbos are perfect this weekend. Just feel that. Breathe it in, Baton Rouge. It is Father's Day weekend. Shout out to my man Kirk back in Master Control. I'm sure I'm making life hard on him right now. But let's get into it. Levar Robinson, Fathers on a Mission, and we all are. It's a great organization here in Baton Rouge. This is our weekend. This is your weekend especially.
This is it. Yeah, this is it.
This is like if you sell Halloween costumes, that weekend is your weekend. If you're a father, Father's Day weekend, this is yours. But for people who are uninitiated, tell them about Fathers on a Mission. What is the organization?
Yeah, definitely, man. So 2017, we started Fathers on a Mission. Great organization here with 2 locations, 1120 Government Street, 3255 Choctaw Drive, where we provide resources for fathers and father figures. We even have responsible fatherhood classes for our discussions about fatherhood. We have case management, where our social workers find out what are the issues fathers and their families are dealing with, and we connect them to resources to help them with this education, finding a job, a better job, mental health, conversations with your child's mother, with your wife, being involved in your children's life, whatever it is, we help in those aspects of life. Then we also have different enhancement workshops, financial literacy, first-time home buyers. And then like this weekend, we have father and children bonding events such as celebration of fatherhood.
See, man, I love this. I love this. You know, fathers play such an important role in the lives of their children. Moms do as well. We joke, well, mothers are extremely important, but it is often underplayed about the importance of a dad being there for his daughter, for his sons. What can we do to normalize, there's some video from the phone website, to normalize celebrating dads more?
You know, it's a cultural distinction to where fathers have been made second-class citizens, right? With everything that we have going on within our city, within our state, man, it's a lack of father engagement. You know, it's very crucial, the impacts that fathers can make in a child's life. Data shows all over the place how important a father is in a child's life. Improve their education, improve their behavior, improve their outcomes when it comes to life, includes even their sleep patterns. It is so important, man. So that's one of our missions, man. Our goals is to make sure that the importance of fatherhood is valued in each and every household, so we can increase the outcomes of our children.
The role of look, regardless of the dynamic between the mother and the father, there is such importance about the father's impact on the brain development of a child, modeling certain behaviors that you want the child to have, seeing a man do certain things. And again, it's underplayed. But on the flip side, if someone comes to phone who has been a little derelict, not at their post as a father, but they want to learn how to stand in, because there are no handbooks with children. There's no how-to book with it. How do you teach men how to be more impactful fathers?
Right, you know, we have a team, a staff, volunteers, other fathers who sit down and mentor fathers, right? Through our engagement sessions, through one-on-one sessions, we go through different pillars of steps when it comes to being a father. We have 14 great curriculum topics that we cover, and it's all enhancements models, right? So we have topics such as manhood, values, a father's influence on his children, conflict resolution as a father, discrimination as a father, you know, so it's every aspect of life, including dealing with stress as a father, right? And not only do we just talk about the problems and symptoms of it, but also solutions of how do you manage these things, because some of these things you're going to deal with like anger, you know, anger is a natural part of life, but it's how you deal with it, right? So we go through these steps with these guys step by step to get them through their process, and we're even a phone call away.
Pushing men who need help with mental health towards that help is important as well. Can you speak on that?
Yes, you know, that's something I think, you know, in the world itself, mental health has become a big issue, right? When really it's been there all along. That's why it's very important for us to get certified social workers on our team. We have an MSW, a CSW. Man, these ladies have so many initials behind their names, and guys, to where it's just needed. That's why we take it serious. You know, therapeutic sessions, all types of things we do with the guys. No, so it's more than me. It's a team of people that work with the guys to have these conversations. They may need 8 sessions. They may need 10 sessions, right? With great partners like Cap Area United Way and others, we cover the cost of other guys that need some cost assistance with it, right? So it's a great thing that it's not just, it's not new, it's been there, but now it's just been amplified, which is a great thing.
How can people support Foam? Because it takes money to do all this stuff.
Yes,
man.
Definitely. On our website, right?
Yeah.
foamla.org.
Look at Alyssa, she's on it. That's
right
the
there.
Steve's back
That's
there.
it. You push that blue button and you give us a monthly, a weekly, an annual contribution to support the work that we're doing, because we're making impacts like never been seen in our community, in our city, in our state, you know.
I'm just thinking, as a gift to your fathers after you cook and spoil him this weekend, you could make a donation to Foam in your dad's name. I think that's a great idea.
That's a great idea. I think we need to create a fundraiser with that one, though.
Make a donation in your dad's name to Fathers on a Mission. Wow, that's a great idea.
Ding, ding.
Brother, I appreciate you. Coming up next, we'll talk with the father of one of our team members and one of the more legendary broadcasters in Baton Rouge history. By the way, shout out to my little munchkin this Father's Day weekend as well. Back in just a moment. Well, back with Steve Schneider, someone you guys have seen around these parts. He was here for about 40 years at WAFB, talking about sports in the capital region and really launching one of the more prominent high school programs in the history of the state of Louisiana. He's been busy. He hasn't been sitting at home twiddling his thumbs since he's been gone. And he also is the father of Alyssa in the back. And man, if that doesn't get you to heaven, you ain't going.
Look, sitting in this studio, my kids grew up here. This is the same studio that we had in 1984 when I started full-time here. And all my kids grew up here and working on Sportsline. As a matter of fact, Alyssa, I think, coined the phrase that Sportsline Friday night was my fifth child. Right? She's my third.
So let's talk about your time here. Started here in '84. And through that time, you worked with a number of teams of people, and you actually were a part of AFB as it entered its prominence in the late 80s, really up until now. What was that experience like?
I mean, it was fantastic. I actually was in the building in '82 and '83.
Okay.
Tim Brando did a show that was a football theme show, and I was a college student, and so I did segments on that show. And then obviously Tim was here when they brought me on as the third sports person. And wow, where are you finding all this vintage footage, huh?
That's just been digging it up. Look at that, man. That's the good stuff, the prime cuts right there. You can tell that that stuff wasn't shot in high definition way back in the day. There may or may not have been some tapes going on there. But just talk about the distance from then to now, man, just looking at these old clips.
Well, and you know what's rewarding, it's Father's Day, we're talking about, and my kids, not only were they involved in the show, but I feel like I had a hand in an awful lot of kids over the years doing that high school show. Kids who, you know, were teenagers, went on to college, went on to professional sports, and still stay in touch with and know quite a few of them.
We were talking in the back about Sportsline Friday night, but not just football. Look at baseball and basketball. And I asked Steve, how many kids that you see in high school do you think are now either current or former pro athletes? And you said in the hundreds.
Well, and I was only talking about football.
Okay.
We were talking about football. If you add in the baseball guys and just like so many, you know, a guy like Ben McDonald, right?
Yeah.
He was a high school kid when we were covering him, and now he's been on the air all these years after his playing career and being a #1 pick. So,
well, you were here through Shaquille as well.
Oh, absolutely.
That period. Dale Brown, and
they were all teenagers.
Is there any particular sports story that you remember that stands out over the years, outside of the Saints? Because we'll deal with that separately.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, there's so many. It'd be hard to like pick out one story, but definitely the Saints winning the Super Bowl for me was the pinnacle, and it was more about my childhood and being a fan. You know, I was an engineering student at LSU before I even got into broadcasting. I never knew I'd be in front of a camera or talking to people or talking sports. So, but yeah, there's just so many. Probably hard to say this is the one.
Yeah. The period of transforming media over the time when you started doing this, there was the morning show, there was noon, there was 5, 6, and 10. Now it's 24-hour sports, 24-hour everything, minute by minute. So you were a part of both realities. Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, it's just more of an investment, right?
Yeah.
Because you got social media and you got streaming. Those are things that didn't exist in the beginning. Like I can still remember when ESPN started, and they were going out and taping stuff and running reruns, basically tape delayed coverage. Now everything has to be live and it has to be delivered on so many different platforms. So, yeah, you have to hang out with young people to keep up with all that. I can tell you that.
Look, like the NBA Finals and things like that would be tape delayed.
Yes,
so you wouldn't see
Larry
it. Like,
Bird and Magic Johnson, right.
Right now the finals are happening, but back then the game was taped and then played after the fact. But there was no risk of finding out who won unless you were talking to somebody who went to the game, because there was no other place to know.
That's right. Unless you hung out by an AP wire, Associated Press might put it out, right?
Well, I mean, and you were also in here covering sports during periods that had nothing to do with sports. Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Andrew going back further. What was it like juggling the joviality of recreation versus the dark side of what the other part of the news department was reporting?
When you're a broadcaster, I feel like if you've done play-by-play and you've done called sports, you can be thrown into any situation and tell a story. That's why I was in the studio here doing coverage of the hurricanes, right? Because it's basically just what do you see and then conveying it to the audience. So I feel like we always kind of, we're team players.
Yeah.
Whatever was required, that's what you did. And I don't regret it at all.
Man, look, always great. We're going to do another segment with Steve talking about what he's doing right now. And he told me a story in the back about the impact of a coach, and I want him to share that story with you. We will do that next. By the way, here's where you can catch the show every week. It streams Friday morning on the app and at WAFB.com, and you can catch it Friday night at 7 and Saturday at 3 on Plus.
That's 100 points on the board now. 59-41. We got a whole quarter to play. Some people are saying, "Where is the D?" I found it. It's been sitting over there on the ground all night. It hasn't made it onto the field yet, but there is a possibility it'll come in the fourth quarter.
Steve. So you were working as a field crew
sideline
person?
Reporter. Man,
right.
you do it all in this business.
Right.
I was the overnight assignment editor for Katrina. I was just telling you, I produced when stations went 24 hours a day, the war in Iraq. I produced a show where somebody literally crawled across the floor here on camera. I'm like, what are you doing?
Who was it and why was it Johnny Asian?
It was
whoever it was.
2 o'clock in the morning. Nobody was watching anyway.
Nobody was watching. So let's talk about what you've been up to these days.
Well, I'm working with 2 of my kids.
Yeah.
Alyssa obviously here has stayed with the TV station. All of my kids have been involved in my career in some way. My son Andrew is the one that came up with the idea for the Work Done banquet and the Player of the Year. My youngest son has a golf business, Schneider Golf Mechanics. I'm like the Walmart greeter for his business, right? Shaking hands, people who recognize me, and he's doing great things. All of my kids are doing great things, which is, what Father's Day is all about, is to see them and help them with whatever endeavors they're involved in. My oldest son, Jeff, is producing a television network across the state now.
Nice.
And I just try to describe it to people. It's like Sportsline on steroids.
Yeah.
It's not just football, it's all the sports, and it's all over the state. And we just wrapped up our first full year on the air. So that clip of the sideline was when I first got back on the air after sitting out for a year.
Wow.
But I've anchored and done different shows and also mentored young people getting into the business. So.
What was it like starting Sportsline and watching it become what it has been?
I think there were 2 people in the building who thought it was a good idea. Me and the general manager.
Who was that at the time? Simonet?
Ron Winders.
Okay, Winders.
From Georgia. He was a big
Simonet,
Georgia Bulldogs fan, so he's had a lot of fun times here lately. But no, he was a big sports fan, and he wanted to see us expand our reach into areas maybe that weren't watching.
Yeah.
And a lot of times if you go to small communities and you cover things that are positive experiences, they're going to watch.
Yeah.
And that's what happened, and we ended up covering 70, 80, 90 schools back when it was an hour.
Who was the most impressive, that's a crazy question, you may name 2 or 3 people, the most impressive high school athletes you remember from Sportsline, specifically football?
Well, Warwick is one of them.
Done, absolutely. As a human and as a football player.
Oh, yeah. And if you talk too much about him being a human, he'll be upset with you because he wants you to remember how great a football player he was. But for such a small package, there's other guys. Brandon Jacobs was 6'6", 245 at Assumption. He was a man-child.
Yeah.
And we've seen guys like that. Trades Green, who just won our Work Done Award year before last. He's at LSU. Those kind of guys are really impressive. So.
I love it, and I got a little less than a minute. You told a story about the impact of a coach on a team that highlights why coaches are so important. What's that story?
Well, people say, well, you've been behind a desk, that's what you want to do. I actually like to get out and tell stories, and this team won a state championship this year, and you think, well, that's great, the kids won, but then you find the backstory, that the kids that were freshmen on a team that won lost their coach when he was shot to death, and they were just spiraling out of control, just eaten up with compassion for what happened. Well, those freshmen were seniors this year, and I get goosebumps just thinking about it. They won the championship, and it was for the memory of this coach that had taught them. The pitcher's dad was the coach, and he led them to the championship.
I love that. Thank you so much. Steve's still doing a great job, and you know he makes having Alyssa around a lot better. Speaking of being around, back in the back, photos of a couple of guys. Kirk Michelet. Here's Bobby over. Look at Bobby right there, looking like a good dad. And Kirk, who's back there, he's in close proximity to Alyssa, so I'll be nice so she doesn't throw anything at him. Back in just a moment. The only reason I'm breaking my string of discussions about Father's Day, second greatest day to Christmas, I don't know if you heard me say that before, is because of my nieces here.
Yep.
That's right, Harper and Bailey with Posh Pop. They're doing this great thing this weekend at Kid Fest, which Pat LaDuff, their grandmother off set here, never told me about before, but this is the fourth year they've done it, and it's introducing kids to business. So tell me about this event.
So Kid Fest, this is our 32nd year of Juneteenth, with fourth Kid Fest going on. And it's basically just to highlight kids. It's basically to highlight kids and give hope. So kid vendors, kid businesses, if you have something going on, we want you there. Of course, Posh Pop is going to be there, but it's going to be so many other kid vendors, kid businesses, and things like that, just to show them that we care and we have hope in their business, and it's going to be successful.
I love this. So who's all going to be out there, Harper?
So we're gonna have sponsors and people. We hope fathers come out there too. We're gonna hope that they come out there, spend time with their kids, have a good time, and just have fun.
In other words, they want us to come pick some stuff up and move some chairs and clean up after it's all done. That's pretty much what it is.
Just a tad.
You see what I'm saying?
A tad.
Yo, wouldn't do that on Mother's Day. So let's talk about Posh Pop real fast.
Let's.
Tell people who don't know about this great store on Perkins Road why they should come to your store.
So, of course, Posh Pop is going to be your best popcorn company in Baton Rouge, in Louisiana, really, but we'll just stick to the city. So our popcorn is going to be a trail mix, of course. It's a kettle popcorn base with other ingredients in it. It's going to have cookies, marshmallows, chocolate, and we just got our first brick and mortar. So not only is the popcorn amazing, but it's owned by a 14 and 9-year-old, and you can't beat that at all. So the store has everything from popcorn to goodies to sweets and to food. It's summertime. If you're not at Posh Pop, where are you? I mean, we're Baton Rouge. We're a little limited on the sweets. Let's just try to do something different. Let's try something new.
Well, in addition to loving your children, the greatest single thing you could do is put them on a pathway to financial independence and start them as early as you can. And that's why this is such a great, great thing. And even on the eve of the great Father's Day holiday weekend, we wanted to feature Kid Fest happening this Saturday from 9 to 11. Tell them where it is.
So it's going to be on Bradley Road, right behind the Welcome to BR Airport, under the interstate. Super closed off, gated, kids can run around. It's going to be right next to a park, so it's going to be super fun, super free. A lot of good people, a lot of good activities. It's going to be a lot going on.
All right, so y'all go out and support these young people on Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon, starting at 11, there is an event for Father's Day. Y'all remember that that's happening this weekend, right? Father's Day. Again, there's only Christmas above it, and I'm contractually obligated to say that part. But let's talk about it. Tanesha, Dr. Lloyd, who, look at him. I knew when he came on here, what are we doing, man?
We're coming to see Clay.
Clean, man. All right, tell me about the Father's Day event y'all have going on.
Well, I'll go first. I'm Tanesha, and like you said, Father's Day is a very, very important holiday.
Say it for the people in the back.
In the back.
Okay.
I mean, if you have a father living or in heaven, wherever he is, celebrate the fathers. And we have amazing men in our community. And Dr. Lloyd is a great friend of mine and a great author as well.
That's right.
So that's how we came together with Black Authors Matters. Yep. But we thought about it, let's open up this Father's Day weekend by celebrating Black men authors.
Look, I am really one, and Levar Robinson is offset too. I'm really one about normalizing the celebration of fathers.
Yes.
We joke, but I think it is important to celebrate mothers. Mothers are essential to every child, but a father is as well.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we got to make it cool. It's a cool job to have, right?
Absolutely. Being a father of three, it's the best institution in the world for me.
Yeah.
The best hood in the world is fatherhood. And that's why I'm excited that we get this opportunity to highlight black fathers that are not only great leaders in the household, but also great authors, great inspirational leaders, and great role models and mentors. And so Friday, I've aligned myself with several great men across the Baton Rouge area, and even coming as far as Shreveport, that are coming to be with us. And we just want to highlight literacy amongst black fathers because children do what they see.
Yeah.
Yes.
And me being a father of three, I've always opened up books in front of my children, and as a result, I got one at West Point, one at ULL, and one that's a super dancer. So
Come on.
just being that role model, letting them see what they can be.
I love it. Quickly, tell me about I'm Not Perfect, I'm Purpose. Tell me about it.
This is the first book that I've authored. I'm not perfect, I'm purpose. Just a reminder that you don't have to be flawless to be valuable, and you don't have to be polished to be purposed. So if you're the person that is searching for purpose in your life, although you may have made mistakes, if you're that dad, this is your book, and it'll be an instrument in your toolbox.
See, I love this. 2 great events this weekend, but one about Father's Day.
Absolutely.
We got to
Happy
normalize this, man.
Yes.
Superhero. And now let's talk about some fathers. So with this being the second greatest weekend of the year to Christmas, we honor fathers all over America, and particularly in Baton Rouge. The men on the screen are some of the ones I respect the most. Levar Robinson, that you know about already with Fathers on a Mission, Chris Meyer with BRAF, Scott Wilfong, Councilman Rowdy Gode, Chris Ferrari, who's been so consequential with the Inspiration Center, Lamar Davis, former Louisiana State Police Superintendent and the chair of the Inspiration Center Committee, and Matt Moscona, radio personality here. He's the only one mic'd because we made a poor decision. But Matt, you can talk about the importance of being a father because you've been a great one. Tell us about it.
It is the greatest job that any of us could ever have, to be entrusted with one of God's children, to watch over them, guide them, mentor them, provide for them in this life, and to be a great example. It's the best job I could possibly have. And every night when my head hits the pillow, I thank God for my son, and I know that he every day is the best part of my day.
If your father is still in your life, treat him like the treasure that he is. Happy Father's Day to all of you men, and to all the men watching. Hopefully you don't have to do your own cooking on Sunday.
Oh, that's definitely happening.
All right, good stuff. All right, next week we'll talk about the Juneteenth celebrations hitting Baton Rouge. We'll also talk with Dr. Laura Cassidy and one of the team members at Louisiana Key Academy about what's happening there. See you next week.